Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, and today's topic will be sketching with green. Before we begin, welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day, and I use timers to stay focused and build a sketching habit. I'll link to yesterday's video, which shows how I started with this part. I'll talk about it for a minute. So yeah, I just used from yesterday's video all the exact same colors so that the dark areas are from like the maroon color. But yeah, you can check out that video for more detail. Now I did go in with like a white. You can see like some of the white like paint marker, and I use more of like the red paint marker too. But I'll go through some of that like with today's sketch. So now this is kind of my idea. So I was just working on that part, and I sketched out some trees and stuff here. There's like a book or something here. So these are just pretty loose sketches, and so I'm going to talk about it before I start going in with color. So these are going to be the colors. So yeah, it's going to be green, and it's going to be the same pens, but these are the colors though. So I'm going to use these two markers. I've got these two that I'm going to use for like the paint. I might start with like the paint marker and just see, but yeah, I mean the end result is pretty similar just because I'm using the same materials. So just to kind of plan this out a little bit, the idea I have is that I want to sort of use this purple. So I want to do sketching with purple, and so maybe I'll just kind of incorporate, so that'll be more purple, and then the green, since there's a lot of green on this side, and then have it kind of go up here. And then I had an idea for like a book in here, so maybe that could be like maybe yellow. But yeah, it's good to kind of have a plan, and also that's like what color studies are for, and that's kind of what I was just talking about. It's good to kind of just to see like the effect. I'm going to use this as kind of the base like green color, and then this is going to be like the lighter green color. It doesn't have to be, but like these are going to turn into like evergreens, and in my mind it'll look a little bit better in that way. This green, it'll probably be like the dark color, and then these I'll use later, which I want it to kind of fade into like white. So I'm kind of using white as like obviously like the highlight, and also to fix things, but it's kind of it's a color, but like it's sort of blending things basically. I want to start blending this green into this area here. So I'm going to like use this border, because I also have some other elements like the shield and the sword and stuff, which I may not illustrate this whole page like on camera, but we'll get a lot of it. So I want to extend this green color, so I'm gonna sort of draw with it, but not overwork it, meaning I'm going to basically paint and have the actual like painting be the drawing, so that it's not overworked, meaning that the paint strokes themselves, or the paint stroke itself, will do the drawing part of it, which is kind of the point. So I'm just kind of thinking about the composition. And then I'm going to start to blend. So what I'm going to do is kind of give this some space right here, and I'm going to like blend some of this like blue color into it. So I am drawing, but notice how if I were to draw that with like a pen, I'd have to actually draw the shape, whereas with the brush I can just leave it. So maybe this will give you some ideas. Now, what's nice about doing this kind of thing, although this is a sketch, but I'm kind of calling it an illustration, is that it does prepare you for actual painting on a bigger canvas, because you would just do the same thing. It's just the brush would be different size. And then it helps to build, well, one, it helps with the color. So then you can just think about painting. You don't have to, you'll see what colors look good. And it's better to mess up on a small scale. So this is the basic idea for this area. But yeah, I'm not going to overwork it, and plus I do want to blend some of this. It's also good to let it dry. It does affect it. Part of that is the paint itself, and then the paper. Like I had to get used to kind of how this paper reacts. So it does have a different look once it dries. I can incorporate some of this, because I was saying that I wanted to kind of be lighter up here, like kind of the white of the paper. And so I'm going to take kind of like the darker between the two markers. So yeah, this is just an idea for how to do a picture like this, but also the material if you're interested in the actual material. These are just things that they're pretty economical as far as the materials. I mean, part of why I do this is that if I were to scan this into the computer, I mean, I could make it look more rendered on the computer, but like keep most of the like traditional look, if you will. So I'm just sketching this in. Now, some of the, if I were to, like in this area, might not be a bad idea to actually use this other green color real quick and just kind of do this. And one thing I found is even if I go over it with one layer of like the white paint, it'll kind of see through it to make it look more like smoky. So the layers do affect it, the layers of the paint. Kind of like with the markers, like you can layer it. So I'm gonna start to bring it a little bit into the other part of the picture here. And this is where the book will be. I'm gonna go in with this pen, and I'm gonna approach it kind of like I'm painting. If this were like a bigger canvas or something, and this would be kind of like a fine point brush. Part of that is because I am wanting to paint. Like that's something that, I mean, I actually have a painting in progress, an acrylic painting, so part of that is why I'm doing it this way. So one, I wasn't really sure exactly how dark I could get it, like what it was actually going to look like. So it is getting darker here. The other thing is there is like kind of an effect. So that was part of it, was wanting to see what the effect is. So for example, I wouldn't necessarily do this everywhere. I mean, or you could be more like sparing with it in these other areas. It's an experiment. I mean, ultimately. So the other thing is how you can get kind of a more of a blending effect going by doing this. So yeah, I was just wanting to kind of share my thought process and demo a little bit. I mean, I'm getting more used to these materials. So that's one way to to push the values. And I have this sword and shield right here. Now that I've got this far, I can kind of see where I can fill in some of the spaces here like this. So you can see that since I went in with like this one, it made that look a little bit darker green. So you can kind of use that. To sort of add depth. Kind of like this. Part of it is also just having like a methodology helps, so you don't get confused. So then this is going to be kind of like the way this was like the dark, and this will be like the light, and again, just be kind of like sparing with it. Plus there's also the thing of like using the white paint also helps, but that's kind of, to me, sort of like the final details. So for example, so part of this color I already know is in this bottom part. So I can just use that to start to blend the composition together. So some of the white of the paper is still showing. But yeah, I would be kind of sparing because it's the light and dark, like the interplay between them, that is sort of the like how the picture reads is really coming from that part. So I'm gonna kind of have this color. And notice that I'm not trying to draw with this. The drawing is the shape of it. That's the drawing. So if I were to draw this tree, I'd have to draw like these shapes by using line work. But if I'm painting, I'm just dabbing this brush, and so I don't have to draw it, but like the shape is the drawing, but the painting is applying the color with the brush. But really the whole, like, the composition and the values and stuff, you learn that by drawing. That's what's helping with that. That's sort of my opinion, and also what I've learned, but also learned just from doing it. That's like the light and dark, but like with a emphasis on like painting and color. I wouldn't call it final detail, but it's detailing. We're starting to detail it. And this part is just kind of emphasizing, just making the shapes a little bit smaller. But then just going off of the values and going off of the colors, like I wasn't sure exactly what it's going to look like, so that's why it's good to kind of have a methodology and do it in steps. So there's a couple of minutes left. So this is just little details, just kind of setting it up for like the final detail. Like I could probably go in with some white marker here if I can find it. I can never find the marker that I'm looking for, so yeah, just like the white marker. Well, part of it is it's good to erase any pencil lines. That would help. If I go in with the white marker like this, you'll see that once it starts to dry, I mean, you can kind of see it right here too. It won't be like exactly like the white of the paper, but you can keep layering it. But that's one way you can get that effect. And then yeah, just kind of go back in with like this is the darkest color, so just kind of add detail that way, or shadows. Now, of course, once I do all of this, kind of like the whole page, I'll probably go in with black or something. I mean, if I need to. But these little final details, they really just take time. Like, because since the drawing is already done and like the painting is done, it's really about just taking your time and adding accents to them. But you can see how I'm starting to blend in, bring the composition together. But yeah, I think this side will kind of have purple, and then orange will be sort of like this, because I'll probably make this look like it's made out of a wood carving. Hopefully this kind of gives you some ideas on techniques or subject matter or even like composition. So yeah, I want to thank you for joining me for today's sketching routine, and hopefully you come back, and if you like these videos, please support the channel. I do appreciate it, and until next time, keep on sketching.